Hey friends, welcome back to my Power Platform YAML tips series on how you can make better YAML snippets. Today we're going to focus in again on Power Apps and specifically in galleries with the with function, but this is the if edition. So we're going to talk about how you can use if within with. It's going to be great. Now, I already covered with on another video. I'll link it to the top here. It was more of a general overview of how to use with, understanding the with function. It's sort of a shapeshifter, so very cool function, knowing the value of it and the power behind it. But today we're going to focus on how you can actually use if within with to make it a little bit more dynamic, even more data driven and stuff like that. All right, before we get into it, let me just tell you a little bit about me. My name is David Warner. I work at Quizzitive, and I'm a Microsoft MVP and a Microsoft Certified Trainer, which basically means I love talking about this stuff a lot. So if you'd like to see more of what I do, you can check out my site at warner.digital or come connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's collaborate. I'm always looking to share ideas, updates, and I'm probably going to share way too many purple and heart emojis. Aww. Yep, that's right. I love the sound effects too. And hey, if you find this video helpful or even mildly entertaining, tap that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments how you're planning to use what you learned. I genuinely love hearing and collaborating with other developers that are putting some of these things into action. And hey, by the way, I run a newsletter where I kind of round out some tips and information around other Microsoft 365 and Power Platform news and content in one easy, not spammy email. So I'll include a link in the chat. All right, if you're not familiar with YAML snippets and Power Apps, they basically let you copy and reuse entire controls in clean, readable code. It's super, super handy. Now, I go into more detail on how they work in the very first video of this series, which I'll link out for you. So if you're new to them, you might want to check out that first. Otherwise, let's get to the tip. Okay, so what is the three top benefits, in my opinion, of the if edition of with it, using the with function and the if function within with? Well, again, you've got that centralized logic, right? So using that with allows you to kind of compartmentalize where you're going to make it easy for those that are using your YAML snippet to be able to make changes within whatever the media type is, the element type is, the data type is that the with is going to be applying, that dynamic record scope is going to be applying within the formula part of your with. You can do data-driven styling, right? So when you combine these together, you can make styles or properties of Dataverse. We're going to see that in this demo, how you could take a property within Dataverse and actually apply a with based on that property. So then it makes it super easy to be data-driven as opposed to just, hey, I'm randomly deciding to make these areas within my particular gallery or wherever you're using the with and the if applicable. So very, very cool. And then the smarter snippets part is simply making galleries, SVG frames, and any other controls more smart, better, smarter by applying the values to data-driven stuff, right? So it kind of goes right in line with that previous data-driven styling, but it makes them smarter because then it's not just, again, hard-coded. You're able to base it on live data that changes within each and every record, for example, within a gallery, okay? So then what is our demo quote for our demo? Because hard-coding colors is so last season, ugh, as if, right? A little bit of Clueless reference there. But essentially, why not, if you can make things dynamic within the with, you're applying a level of variable values, right? You're making it easier for those that are going to be editing. But then if it's going to be based on data that changes that they're not necessarily controlling, make it even easier on everybody. So we're going to showcase that. Let's jump into the demo and take a look. Okay, so here we are in Power Apps Studio. Now, I'm using a demo gallery here that has been fairly consistent across most of my videos, so you may be familiar with it. If not, though, what it is just a basic screen with a gallery on it that has some hard-coded data. So I'm here in my items property. I've hard-coded data, and again, if you're wondering why I've hard-coded data, well, it makes the YAML snippet very transportable, right? I've got a whole video on that I'll link here up above, or you can look for it in the playlist. Very valuable. Now, what I also have is I've got this frame, right? This SVG frame that I'm using to kind of frame the look and feel. That's where all these little logos are coming from and stuff like that, right? Legos, you know, I guess they're called. And what I have for that is I'm using a with function, and this is very similar to my last video on the basics of with, but I've got the primary brick color and I've got the secondary brick color. And what I have is that those colors are changing based on what I change there. Okay, but I also have a property here that I've defined, property for the actual frame, which is the background color. Now, right now it's white, so everything behind it is white, right? Now, I could change this to something like purple, right? If I, oops, let me do that. Since I'm going to hard code the text, I'll just do it within the quotes. Not purple, purple. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it doesn't look great, but that's not the point. The point is I could change that if I want, right? Now, why does this matter, and where does the if come into play here? Well, let me go over to my data first. So let me close this up, and I've got a Dataverse WD Lego datasets, right? And specifically within this data, when it loads here, is I've got the image embedded, and then I've got a background color, pretty much a Boolean value background color. Now, the reason I'm identifying whether it can have a background color or not is because in some cases the images that were put in are like JPEGs, right? The white behind the image or in the empty space of the image is actually white. It's not transparent. But some of these images, like these ones here, the 3 on the bottom, for example, that have the yes, those are transparent pings, which means that anywhere that you don't see the Lego set, it actually is transparent. Now, this may be the case, right? You may have areas where you want to identify that there's a background color, not background color, or something like that. In this case, this is the sample that I'm using. And so for these images, I want those frames within each gallery item to have a background color of something, right? So how is that going to work? Well, I'm going to go back over into my frame here. Let's go back up into here, and I will reset this to white so it looks normal, back to normal, right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to come into my background color, right? I can actually come in here and say, well, I want to create something called BG color, all right, and I'm going to paste it in just to make it a little easier so you don't got to watch me type. So I'll paste this in here, I'll add a comma there, and then I will add BG type. Okay, so what we're essentially doing is we are saying BG color if, this is where we're getting that if into play here, right? This item dot background color, and yes, by the way, this item dot background color is referencing the Dataverse table reference name, right, column name, but it also works with the dynamic hard-coded data that I put in there. So it's very transportable, right? So if the background color is yes, which it means that, it's true, make it violet. Otherwise, just keep it white. So it's not going to be a weird color for those items. And how does that weird color look, right? So if I go back here and go to purple, you didn't kind of see, there you go. So there's an example, right? So Anton Ego is just a JPEG, so it doesn't have any transparency. But over here on the camera one for Lego, for Disney, it looks a little cleaner, right? Because now it's just kind of hovering and the background color doesn't look so bad. It doesn't look blocky or, just bad. It's just bad. So let's do that. Let's put this back to white. Oh, let me do that. Too many shortcut keys. Okay. So now all I really need to do is I've added some dynamic value here within my record scope. And so if I take BG color here and I simply replace white with the dynamic BG color, well, now look what happened. So that's super cool, right? So now all of the Lego elements, my Pixar Luxo Jr., my Home Alone house, right, and my camera, they all look pretty nice. For the ones that have that blocky JPEG, they are not. So I'm just leaving them as white. Now, it may not be a super valuable use case, but the point is that we've got the logic here. And this all is very transportable and modular. So if I come over here, I look at view code, right? I've got things in there like base64 for my images. So those are very transportable. I've got another video on that I'll include. Point is I'm making my gallery or my YAML snippet of the gallery completely modular and transportable, right? Hard-coded data, I've got hard-coded images, and that'll all get replaced. But the concept is giving someone a nice looking gallery or a nice looking other control that when they paste it, they see the full value of it. It doesn't have red X's or it doesn't look partially broken. And then they can go in and start replacing it in that Lego-like fashion with real data, etc. Right? So I'm going to copy that code. I'm going to come over to a brand new app here, close that up, and I'm going to paste. And now we see everything carries over, right? So if I were to come over here to my frame right here, and I come in here and I say, instead of violet, I want, I don't know, lime, right? There we go. We're back to that whole Oompa Loompa thing, right? Or orange. Right? Oh, no, orange. There we go. That doesn't look bad. That looks nice, right? So point is we're making it super easy. And in this case, it's still dynamic. So if I were to come in here and replace my items property with an actual data set that still has that particular data architecture to it, which is kind of what you'd expect, everything's going to work. It's going to be awesome, right? So super cool. Again, a short little tip on how you can add even more dynamic logic to your width. Not specific, by the way, to YAML. You can completely use this in other use cases, 100%. It just makes it even easier and cooler when you're able to make a very transportable, almost component-like collection of assets within this gallery or other controls that are based on YAML and kind of carryable and transportable, very usable, shareable, etc. Right? So hope you like this. Do please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Before we wrap up, let me show you one more amazing Power move. There is a Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community GitHub repo where you can browse, use, and even contribute back to a number of snippets for free. Seriously, free, as in $0. Cost you nothing. You absolutely can use them infinitely. And when you contribute back, say, for example, you create your own snippet and give it back to the community, you don't just get those warm, fuzzy feelings, although, hey, those are good too, but you can actually earn Credly badges, like you see here, Snippet Source or Power Contributor or Community Contributor. Now, these are great for your blog, for your resume, for LinkedIn. Show them to your manager, show them to your clients, because they prove that you are contributing to the community and you are making a difference for the entire global community. And hey, send it to mom. She might not know what a YAML snippet is, but she'll know you're awesome. The links are here on the screen. I'll include them in the YouTube video description. So please get involved. Check them out.